Hey guys, as promised in my A Court of Mist and Fury review, I am back for this week's From the Notebook to talk about why there is not a love triangle in this book, despite the fact that people have been saying that there is a love triangle in this book. Now, if you don't want to be spoiled for this book, don't watch this video. Go back, check the eye, and watch my review instead. That is completely spoiler-free. This video, on the other hand, is going to specifically reference spoilers in this book, so don't be spoiled if you don't want to be spoiled. Just throwing that out there. So this kind of got started after I was reading some reviews and comments of A Court of Mist and Fury while I was waiting for my book to arrive, and it was talking about the frustration with the love triangle, and ugh, didn't we see that coming? And I got really concerned because I really loved Sarah's deft way of handling the pseudo love triangle that appeared in Throne of Glass. I also don't think that was necessarily a love triangle because of the way that Selena reacts to Dorian and Chaol differently and how those relationships evolve independently of each other. Really, it's Dorian and Chaol who have the most fight over, who gets the girl, and Selena's just like, I need to go kill things, so whatever, guys. And I really loved that. So when I saw reviews of this saying that there's a love triangle in it, I wasn't surprised because after the first book, you see Tamlin and Rhysand being set up to be like that. And then you see the cover of this book, which, alright, I'm bringing it back. I mean, obviously you can tell that you're spending a lot of time in the Night Court in this book, even before you open it up. And so I was just like, oh, like she's in love with Tamlin, but she has to spend a week with Rhys. And duh, I saw it coming, and so I saw those reviews, really upset. And then I read the book. And I understand why, based on the end of this book, that people were saying, oh, it's a love triangle. But it's not. Love triangle, first of all, is a misnomer. It's more like a love chevron, unless the two guys also want to kiss each other. In which case, I would totally read that, by the way. Please, someone do that. If you know a book where that happens, like, tell me. So it's a love chevron where Tamlin and Rhys really want Feyre. The thing is that in order for it to be your typical love triangle with, like, the girl being all wishy-washy, the girl has to be wishy-washy. And in the beginning of the book, we see Feyre say goodbye to Tamlin and recognize that the love that she had for him was wrong, and the way that he was treating her was wrong, and that, I mean, she really even says, I think I fell in love with the first person to show me kindness, to show me niceness, to protect me, but I don't need that anymore, and he can't give me what I need. So there's a whole portion of the book before she realizes cognizantly that she's falling for Rhys, where she says goodbye to Tamlin. She really even, I think, begins to hate him a little bit for what he does to her, and I don't blame her at all. He treats her really poorly. So you see that evolution and the devolution of their relationship. So that's open and shut. The beautiful romance kind of a thing that happened in the first book. She recognizes it didn't come from a great place, isn't a great place now, and it's time to let go of that. And so I think that she'll always care about him, but what he does to her in the beginning of the book, locking her up, treating her like that, refusing to see her as an equal, as really even a real person, she just isn't about. So she's not in love with Tamlin anymore. And is the mating bond with Rhys kind of a little, yes, but I was okay with it because at the same time as you're watching her fall out of love with Tamlin, you watch her fall in love with Rhys. And not because, she finds him attractive, or, well, because she does, but it's because Rhys allows her to make her own choices. And he believes that she's strong, and he believes in her, and he gives her the space and the time to heal from everything that's happened to her, and he understands her and allows her to be surrounded by people who treat her in the same way and doesn't allow anyone else to treat her poorly, which is why he rescues her from Tamlin in the first place. So Rhys is her choice. Rhys is her mate, and she goes back to Tamlin because of Rhys. And so I understand that people were saying, well, the end of this book is clearly setting up a love triangle because maybe she'll fall back in love with Tamlin or something like that, or, that's still there. It's not there. this book made it so clear that she was done with Tamlin, done with the way that he treated her, even done with the people of the Spring Court who didn't help her when they saw the physical, you know, just disintegration of her being at his hand. So the same thing with Lucien and stuff like that. I do think that maybe Lucien and Feyre will be able to mend their relationship, but what has happened between Feyre and Tamlin can't be undone. It can't be. And I mean, if it is, I will take this all back and then I will cry for like 4 days straight, but I really don't think that's going to happen. She is in the Spring Court to save the people that she really loves, and she's willing to go back to Tamlin, to subject herself to someone who treats her poorly because of them. And that's not the best case scenario. Of course, it's nothing that you want Feyre to have happen, but she's not going to go back there and fall back in love with him. This is not a love triangle. This is a progression of relationships, which is really refreshing, in which you have the very stereotypical YA-esque romance in the first book, you know, where Feyre needs to be protected, Tamlin takes her in, and, you know, he's nice to her, and she falls in love, and she's never been in love like that before. And then the reason that I love this book so much is that Feyre becomes someone else, realizes that's not healthy, and moves on. So, not a love triangle. It's a suggestion of a love triangle wherein there are two guys who are in love with the girl, but the girl has made her choice. And that's what bugs me in love triangles usually, is that there's these two guys who are into the girl, and the girl's like, oh, I could have him, or I could have him, or, you know, and she goes back and forth, and there's like a stereotypical arc where like she starts off with one and she goes to the other, and like, ugh, whatever. That's not what we're seeing here, and Sarah's made that very clear within the context of the book. And that's the reason that I love this book so much, is because she's taken that expectation that we had from the first book of Feyre and Tamlin and shown us real consequence and shown us real growth. And it's just so important to me, guys. And so when people are saying that there's a love triangle in this book, it bothers me because there's a couple of key elements that make it not a love triangle and really disassociate this book with the powerful thing that it does for Feyre and for the person reading about Feyre and Tamlin's relationship versus Feyre and Rhys's relationship. So I felt like I needed to make this video in order to like make that better. So here we are. If you disagree with me or if you agree with me, please, whatever you feel, down in the comments, talk to me about it. I would love to know how you feel about the book and how you feel about the progression of the relationships, because I always have my Sarah J. Maas rose-tinted glasses on. So, you know, talk to me. That's all I have for today, guys. I will see you next week. Bye!